Have you ever had a sense of being inundated by a disorganized and chaotic work environment? With an accumulation of papers and a disarray of equipment, maintaining concentration and accomplishing tasks can be challenging. Programmers have a comparable obstacle, but their arena is the digital domain, notably within a software application known as Git. Git is an exceptional version control system, a valuable tool for monitoring and managing modifications in your code. However, on occasion, your Git workspace may become cluttered with stashes. These stashes are like temporary holding areas for uncommitted changes. They're useful when you need to switch tasks or debug something, but too many stashes can become a burden. So, how do we declutter our Git workspace and get rid of unwanted stashes? That's what we'll be tackling today. Before diving in, let's rewind a bit. Imagine you're working on a new feature in your code, but then a critical bug pops up. You need to fix it immediately, but don't want to lose your progress on the feature. That's where stashes come in. You can use the git stash command to temporarily tuck away your current changes and create a stash. Then, you can focus on fixing the bug with a clean workspace. Once the fix is done, you can apply the stash changes back using git stash pop. However, stashes can accumulate, especially if you work on multiple features or branches. Here's where things can get messy. An overflowing stash list becomes difficult to manage, making it hard to find the specific changes you need. Now, onto the good stuff, cleaning out your stash. There are two main ways to do this, depending on how ruthless you want to be. Option 1, taking out the trash, one stash at a time. This approach is ideal if you want to be selective about which stashes to remove. Listing your stashes, first, use the git stash list command. This will display a numbered list of your stashes, along with a brief description, usually the first line of your most recent commit message. Dropping a specific stash, let's say you want to remove stash number 3. Here's the command, git stash drop stash at 3. The stash at 3 part tells Git to target the third stash in the list. Easy, right? Option 2, wiping the slate clean, use with caution. This option is for those who want a fresh start. Be warned, this is a permanent deletion, so make sure you're absolutely certain you don't need any of your stashes before proceeding. Clearing all stashes, run the command git stash clear. This will remove all your stashes in one fell swoop. There's no confirmation prompt, so be double sure before hitting enter. Bonus tip, applying a stash before deleting. If you're unsure about deleting a stash, you can always apply it first to see what changes it contains. Use the git stash pop command to apply the most recent stash. This will bring back the stash changes into your working directory. If you like what you see, you can keep it and then delete the stash using git stash drop. Remember, with great stash deletion power comes great responsibility. Always double-check before clearing your stashes, especially if you're working on a critical project. Keeping your stash organized. Now that you know how to clean up your stashes, let's talk about keeping them organized. Here are a few tips. Descriptive stash messages. When creating a stash, use a clear and concise message that describes the changes you're stashing away. This will make it easier to identify the right stash later. Short-term storage. Think of stashes as temporary holding areas. Don't rely on them for long-term storage. If you have changes you plan to revisit later, consider creating a separate branch instead. By following these tips, you can keep your stash list manageable and avoid the clutter monster. With that said, thanks for watching and until next time.